arts and culture segment, you remember me, right? I'm currently at an airport in the past. By the time you're watching this, I'm gonna be on a plane coming back to Toronto because I have classes tomorrow, and I decided to take a trip that comes back the day before we start. What can I say? I'm nothing if not chaotic and busy. Always busy. That's why I'm at an airport and not present, and this is pre-recorded, but that's enough about me. Let's talk about OCAD's art and culture. So, OCAD, 100 McCall, its main campus? Nope. So, OCAD, located at 100 McCall, at least the main building is, it's just a short walk away from all of downtown's main attractions. Eaton Center to the east for all of your consumer needs, Kensington Market to the west for all of your less corporate consumer needs, Tiffbell Lightbox down south for all of the film buffs, and I guess there's the CN Tower, if that's your thing. And Ripley's Aquarium. Man, I love fish. Hold on, I have proof. Proof of my love of fish, Mr. Hongyo-dan. Not sponsored, although we could be. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about are some hidden gems, the pieces that don't get as much coverage as the CN Tower and the Eaton Center. What I want to explore today are a handful of hand-picked pieces of art that are just a short walk away from OCAD's main building that I think that you should check out next time you have a few minutes, which is completely free, by the way. No ticket required to admire art on the street. It's public, it's free, which I know most students. The budget is zero. First of the hidden gems is actually two hidden gems. A pair of murals painted by Alex Bacon that sits in probably the best place that you would ever think a mural could be, on the wall outside of Hooters on 280 Adelaide Street West. And let me tell you, these murals are stunning. One of them is monochromatic blue, a seascape full of different types of sharks. It has like a super clear and distinct foreground, and in the background, lots and lots of shadows of sharks. There are so many sharks on this mural. It's awesome. And it's attached to a Hooters. I don't know who thought of this, but they're a genius, whether it was Alex Bacon or someone who commissioned him. And right behind it, on a wall in the parking lot behind the Hooters, is a mural that has blues and not blues, that has oranges and purples and pinks, depicting three human figures, one wearing an elaborate headdress, another playing a violin, I think, and another one posed in the middle of a dance. These two paintings, while painted by the same person, are completely different in their theming and the way that they convey the visual style. The shark one, the colors are cool and monochromatic, and the style is super realistic. It's going for, these sharks are literally in this wall and could swim out at you at any second, and it hits. And the reason why it works super well, in my opinion, is because the lighting is so dynamic. The blending is really soft, and there's a huge emphasis on both the rays coming in from the water above and where they hit on the top of the sharks, giving it a very realistic sense of setting and space, differentiating that clear foreground from the hazy background, as well as the big figures in the front towards the bottom of the ocean, and the small figures in the back towards the top of the ocean, as if we're down in the depths with these sharks. Another fun detail that I think this mural has is these wires coming in from like a building or a pole nearby attached to the buildings, and he painted a fish hook, a giant fish hook right there, so the wires actually play a part in the mural itself without even being painted, and it incorporates this sort of urban aesthetic into the otherworldly sort of portal into the ocean that he's created on this wall here. I'm still going. It's so bright right here. Okay, the sun's behind a cloud right now, so it's not too bad, but I'm just a little guy. You know what I mean? And they took my shoes. The other mural right behind it is more abstract, which is more what Alex Bacon plays into with most of the pieces that I've seen from him. I wasn't able to find a ton of information on him, but his Instagram page is full of his murals, and quite a few of them are sprinkled around in other places downtown Toronto. The feeling that I get from this mural are beauty, pride, creation, artistic expression. Not only is the mural itself just an expression of beauty and artistry, but they're depicting people in acts of creation. Someone playing music, someone dancing. It's not literal in the sense that it is painting a photo the way that the sharks were more doing, and it sort of blends the figures together in an emblem sort of on the side of the wall that just gives you a sense of like wonder while you're looking at these vivid colors on this huge wall beside it. In Hooters. Excuse my language. I should stop making fun of Hooters. I've never been. I don't know what it's like there. I can't really speak on it. But these murals though, I first noticed them walking from OCAD's main campus to Line 1 TV's studio downtown, and I had to stop and pause for a second. It's a good thing that it is by a crosswalk that I had to go across. The light was red and I had an excuse to stop and look at it. And honestly, I don't think we need an excuse to stop and look at these beautiful pieces. Just stop, just take a couple minutes out of your walk, make a detour for it. They're there to look at, and they're awesome to look at. Just a short walk down the street from the Hooters murals is Artscape Sandbox. It's contained in this little corner of Adelaide and Widmer, and it's a sort of melding between history and art. And I think that it's really successful in that, and I actually learned a couple things about this specific site that it was built on. This site also has 2 art pieces on it, although instead of 2 murals, we have 1 sculpture and 1 sort of pavement engraved type of thing. I don't know what to call it, but I really like it, and I think you should go and look at it and step on it very carefully and treat it like a little maze for your feet. The glass sculpture itself is meant to resemble a fever hut, and it's made out of structured laminate glass and has images of cheesecloth as if it were like splayed on top of the glass itself. The significance of the fever shack is because on the specific site, sometime in the 1840s, there were an influx of typhus patients, and the general hospital couldn't handle them, so they built all of these fever shacks outside in this area over here. Another name for this space is also Grasset Park, and that is actually named after one of the victims of typhus, whose name was, I keep getting it wrong, Dr. George Robert Grasset. The significance of the cheesecloth pattern is to resemble both the fly netting, like the mosquito nets that they would use to keep the bugs out from outside the fever shacks, as well as the bandaging that would be used on wounds and stuff on the patients themselves. The other part of this site is this map of 1842 Toronto, this interpretation of the city's street grid. It's engraved into the pavement of the sidewalk, and it's pretty large. It's not just like 1 or 2 tiles. So it gives you a pretty good idea in an interpretation of what the city streets used to look like at this time. And I do encourage you to pull out Google Maps and just try and spot the differences and similarities. The cityscape has changed so much since the 1800s. I don't think you're gonna find any similarities. Let me know if you do actually notice this thing is here and that landmark is there, because I'm not from Toronto, let alone 1840s Toronto, so I don't think I'd be able to pinpoint those places. But also, I'm quite directionally challenged, so I might have trouble with that in general. I probably have trouble with that on a regular map, although my confidence makes up for it. I'm traveling alone right now. You hope I have good direction. Artscape Sandbox was designed by Denegri Bressi Studio in 2021. It's still there today and even lights up at night. The glass sculpture has hidden underneath the spots where they actually meet the ground lights that light it up from below, and they like cycle through fancy colors. So see it at day and see it at night. 2 different pieces of art, 2 for the price of 1, 3 for the price of 1, because there's 2 pieces of artwork in there to begin with, and then a 3rd one when it lights up at night. I'm telling you, artwork on a budget, just have a long walk during the day and during the night, and you see the stuff on the streets. Toronto's a great place for that. Not a lot of cities are an amazing place for that. Well, a lot of cities are an amazing place for that. I'm in Vancouver right now, but I don't actually get to leave the airport because I'm out of connection. Vancouver is a fun place to do that too. I can't even lie. Artscape Sandbox / Grasset Park taught me a lot about history. Since I'm not from Toronto, I didn't get a lot of it from like school and peers. So whenever I get the chance to learn about it, I jump on that opportunity. And this was a great opportunity to research that. A little further to the west, on the corner of Queen Street West and Soho, sits the Reflector Sculpture. Designed by Fireground Studio, Reflector Sculpture is sort of half circle thing that kind of looks like crunched up origami, or you know those things that are like balls but they're flat like this, and then you open them up and it's like tissue paper ball. That's kind of what it feels like, but it's only halfway open, so you can still step into it. And it's made out of all of these different reflective prisms. So when you're standing far away during the day, you can see all of the buildings surrounding it, the sun beaming down on it. It's pretty blinding on a sunny day. But if you are standing up close to it, then you can actually step inside. And when you step inside of it, you can see yourself reflected, your peers, other people walking down the street. It's a really good opportunity just to like do a fit check. I'm just kidding. It's a really good opportunity to literally reflect on your surroundings, as well as like taking in the different lighting of Toronto. Not only does it literally reflect everything because it's made of mirrors, but the shapes and the motifs of it also reflect the shapes of the buildings surrounding it. The glass is the same as the glass on the skyscrapers, the same as the angular shapes within them. They're all stuff that you can find within the architecture of the city surrounding the piece itself. Just like the glass sculpture from the Artscape Sandbox, this one also lights up from below. So at night, it takes on an entirely new light, and it is just as accessible for photos and for viewing, just completely from a different perspective. During the day, it's all getting lit from above, from the sides, from all directions, and from night, it's getting lit from below, from the ground, and then up. You know what below means. Yeah, it's not quite as site-specific as the previous ones we just discussed, but it's definitely location-specific. It wouldn't work the same if you put this in a forest or in a field. It would look completely out of place, and it already looks super like futuristic and modern, and it already stands out among the buildings, but it stands out in a way that it should. It still fits the visual motifs, it fits the styles, it fits the architecture that it's surrounded by. The last piece that I want to talk to you about today stands on the corner of Spadina Avenue. I don't know if it's on a corner. The last piece that I wanted to talk to you about today stands on 148 Spadina Avenue. It's called Uniform Measure / Stack, and it was made by Stephen Cruz, an artist from Montreal. This piece has a main centerpiece made up of stacked concrete buttons with a thimble on top, and surrounding it is engravings in the sidewalk of measuring tape indents, and there are a few other buttons on the trees surrounding it as sort of like planter bases. The idea behind this was to harken back to days of textile factories that were in the area at the time. Eventually, when those died out, moved to other places like Mississauga, artist studios started taking residence there, and now we have condos. So there's another instance of the evolution of Toronto over time and how the landscape changes with the needs of the people in it, as well as another opportunity to further research why these specific objects were important to this artist and how they connect to the history of Toronto in the space that they were put in. The thimble and the button are both objects that are specifically used in hand sewing, which is something that Stephen Cruz wanted to highlight in his work here. With the onset of the Industrial Revolution, hand sewing and similar traditional methods of textile work started to fall back to the wayside. They weren't as productive or efficient as machines, and so people stopped learning them. By highlighting these buttons and thimbles, pieces that are specific to handcrafted textile work, he wanted to remember those specific parts of the craft, which is something that, as a cosplayer and a sewist, I highly resonate with those. I try to use hand sewing in all of my work. It's something that my grandmother taught me and something that I'm really proud to be able to implement in my work, both personally, for school, and for other projects. The fact that this was built in 1997 and it still holds the same universal weight that traditional textile practices, traditional creative practices in general, have value outside of needing to be productive and efficient and make product. The joy of it comes from the process, not just from the result. I think that this piece does a really good job of showing the importance of that, as well as bringing history into it. By having it site specific, we know that by having it being site specific, we're already thinking about the textile district that used to be there, and it puts into our mind the appreciation for handcrafted textiles over the machine sewing that is so prevalent today. Thank you so much for listening to my little list of just 4 free public art exhibits that you can see any day, anytime, possibly twice a day because 2 of them light up at night and it makes for a completely new experience. And I hope that the next time that you're walking around OCAD University's campus, you take a few extra minutes to go out of your way, make a detour, stop and take some photos, and maybe look up the artists who made them and the intentions behind the pieces themselves. I know that I had a lot of fun researching these just from my bed at home and talking about them to you here at the airport. So don't take this as the end of your exploration into these pieces or other pieces in Toronto. They're meant to be experienced in person. So thank you so much to our camera operator Hazel for getting these beautiful shots, but they don't compare to the real thing. They're right outside campus. Go take a look at them for yourselves. Check. Hold on. Image Comics hat. The Army, the Navy rat. Converse. Aconite sweater. And thrifted vest. It used to be a jacket, but I flexed too hard and the sleeves fell off. It's not sure I did it for cosplay.